Welcome to the Prairie State Wire podcast. I'm Brian Hyde. Today I'm joined by Bob Fioretti, who is running for Illinois Attorney General. Bob, great to have you on the podcast. You actually have quite a distinguished legal career. So before we talk about the Attorney General and what that all represents, tell me a little bit about the path that you've taken to get here.
Well, first of all, I've been an attorney for quite a long time, and I've been lucky in terms of what I've practiced. I'm a civil rights attorney. I was elected twice to the Chicago City Council. I believe I have the experience, the knowledge, the temperament, and the ability to be the Attorney General for the state of Illinois. I've tried cases throughout Cook County and all the courthouses in all of the surrounding counties. I've tried cases downstate and around the surrounding states. I'm running because I want to restore the mission of this office and represent the victims and reach out to parties that have been aggrieved. However, as you said, in terms of my past, I've had the confidence of both Republican and Democratic state's attorneys throughout the area to be appointed a special assistant state's attorney. Same thing with the Democratic and Republican attorney generals to represent the people of this state. My cases have changed laws and procedures and enforcement of how certain police agencies enforce the law. I've also changed the adoption laws from some of my cases, not just here in Illinois, but throughout the country. I've had the distinction of working with all branches of government in terms of state and local and countywide branches of government. As I said earlier, I was the alderman. I was elected for 2 terms. I've drafted, I've introduced, and built coalitions that passed and became laws for hundreds of ordinances that affected the safety and security and welfare of the citizens of not just Chicago, but Cook County. I've had a lifelong service. I mean, my record is really a record of public service, both as the elected official and as a private trial attorney. And I've represented people far and wide, fought for them. When I'm elected as your Attorney General, I'm going to make sure that I will build coalitions throughout the state based upon citizens, the police, faith-based communities, and mark this as and making sure that all of Illinois is safe for everybody. And like I said, I've had a lot of unique cases, and I've had the ability, because people come to me on so many different aspects. I've tried everything. If you give me a letter of the alphabet from A to Z, whether it's administrative, antitrust, admiralty to zoning, I've tried a case, and I can understand where the law is going. I've helped draft laws in Springfield, and we've made a big difference. I've been a leader in the preservation community. In some of my past campaigns, people who have endorsed me have said it was my effort that led to the creation of the national park in the Pullman area. I helped during the fire. I helped stabilize the clock tower. We brought both Hillary Clinton down there, the governor, most of the labor unions to rally around and see what the beauty of the Pullman neighborhood is all about. But that's just a small thing. I serve on several committees now, both for the Illinois State Bar, Chicago Bar Association, and other legal entities. I just recently got back from speaking to a group of attorneys in Sicily on ethics, and I was privileged to be able to do that. I've just recently also run a seminar based on human trafficking, and because it is a problem statewide that it's one of those unreported crimes that people don't know. But that's just touching, and we can probably, like I said before we started broadcasting, do we want to go in for an hour and a half? The answer is no. So
No, you clearly have a very deep and broad background. Talk to us a little bit about what the Attorney General does. I know that most people instinctively recognize that's an important state office, and it is, but few of us, myself included, I think could give an accurate definition of, so what exactly does the Attorney General do, and who does the Attorney General represent in the course of their duties?
Well, that's a good question, as they say sometimes when they're trying to buy time. But we really represent, we have a huge criminal division that people are unaware of, but has not been effective lately. And we do have a large civil division. And the current Attorney General sends out a lot of cases to outside firms in a lot of those matters. I think the problem has been that nobody knew who the Attorney General was until for the last 8 years. If we all recall, Mike Madigan's daughter was the Attorney General for 12 years, and everybody knew who she was. But the current one just became popular recently because, or well known, or however you want to describe it, because he was suing President Trump. And he's joined in over 30 lawsuits suing him at this point. But it has a contingency aspect. It represents the victims, and we need to focus on victims. I've heard it over and over, up and down the state. It doesn't matter where you live, the lack of trust in the Attorney General's office. And I'm going to make sure we can restore that. I'm going to stand with law enforcement. I'm going to make sure that, and those are the people that risk their lives every day, because they try to keep our streets safe. And I'm going to keep fighting for safe streets, strong communities, thriving businesses, so the people of this state can prosper and find a better life for everyone.
Talk to me about the Attorney General's role in holding government accountable by exposing corruption. I mean, it's almost tongue in cheek. It kind of goes without. Of course, there's corruption in government. We almost to the point we expect it. But what role does the Attorney General's office play in exposing it and stopping it?
Well, I've talked to past attorney generals and past people who have worked in that office recently, going back almost 30 years. And it has a significant role. However, our role should also be cooperative and engaging with the local state's attorneys. We have 102 state's attorneys in this state. Every county has a state's attorney, an elected state's attorney, which sometimes adds some friction on what's going on. My role will be to bring all of them together to help fight some of this corruption. And corruption is a big problem. Under this Attorney General, I have seen he's taken almost $4 million from the current governor. He took almost $3 million from Mike Madigan, and we all know where he's at right now. And he's taken about $1 million from almost all of the people that testified in the ComEd trials. That's a lot of money, and what was the reason for it? So you have to ask yourself, was the Attorney General really being effective on fighting crime, fighting corruption? Corruption costs us about $1 billion a year out here for the state of Illinois. And that's, just think if we were doing it in a good way.
No, that makes sense. Tell me about, integrity is going to be a big part of keeping the Attorney General's office on track. Where are some of the places where it is currently off track? Where are corrections needed?
Oh, I think up and down. I think the person who leads that office has to have the integrity to lead the office. And I say that, that's why I pointed out actually that I was asked to talk about ethics in Italy to a group of over 100 plus, 100, maybe 20. Some were judges too in that group that I talked to. I've been asked to lead certain committees. And right now I'm working with various bar association presidents on certain matters that are to come public soon through the bar associations as we're working forward. I think people look at me and they know that my word is my bound, what has to be done, and I'm not going to deviate that. And I say that because people say, well, Bob, you were a Republican, you were a Democrat, now you're a Republican. Well, my values have never changed. I saw what happened in the city council. I saw people profiting from their own positions. I still see it in our legislature, in our county governments here. We have to put an end to that. We have to restore trust in government. There's no trust in government. I think statewide, no matter what the positions are, from school board all the way up to the governor's office, there's no trust in the judicial system. And we need to work hard, and everyone. And I'm going to make sure that those officers and attorneys that are in that office and other people will be trying to restore the integrity of both.
One final question for you, Bob, and that is, what can the voters do to make sure that they're doing their part in making sure that the people they vote for, the government that they elect, is serving the people and not just serving its own political insiders or interests?
Well, that's I'm laughing because it's, again, not only is it a good question, it is the question that voters need to ask themselves as we go into this election season of both the primaries in March and the general elections in November. And people have to ask themselves and make sure that they're looking at the candidates, try to reach out to the candidates, see what their records are, see what they've done. Again, I want to restore some kind of sanity to the office that I'm seeking, and at the same time for all of the government. I mean, fiscal responsibility too. Things are out of control in terms of the budgets that we're seeing right now, and people just, well, it's not my money; it's just the taxpayers' money, so we can spend it. Let's take it in and spend it, and it doesn't matter what the programs are. We are stewards of every penny that comes into every governmental office, and we need to make sure that we are effective for it, that we help the people, and that, I see my role, and I see it the same way when I was in the city council. People just want to go home. They want to have a good job. They want to have their kids educated. They want to have their kids grow up in a free society, an open society. And that's what my aim is going to be throughout this campaign. So we've got a lot to do. I know there's a lot of people to reach. I may not have all of the resources that, like I said, my opponent will and the governor will, but I'm going to fight for every citizen in this state and make sure that they enjoy this state and have the life that they were promised from birth.
Once again, Bob Fioretti, who is running for Attorney General for the state of Illinois, thank you for joining us on the Prairie State Wire podcast.
Thank you.